How's it going, everyone? Today I wanted to discuss my Chinese diesel heater, how I installed it, how it works, and everything about it, so stay put. As you can see, the van right now is in shambles because I'm getting my fiberine top installed. So the liner had to come out and pretty much everything that was touching the top here, the roof. So let's get right to it and take it apart. Alright, so after removing a few panels, this is what it looks like. This heater was installed back in 2022. And I'm going to put a link in here to show you guys which one exactly. This is straight from Amazon. So here's the heater that I bought back in October 2021. I paid about $160 for this. As you can see, it's currently not available. However, there are some other ones here that you can pick out from. You can find them here. I mean, there's a plenty. It looks like there's some cheaper ones too. I don't know how good they will work. But this is the one that I bought. And I mean, I had no issues whatsoever with this thing. Alright, first let's go over the components that this thing came with. So this is the heater unit itself. Came with a tiny little fuel filter, which is right there, and fuel tank, which is right about here. This is a 5-liter tank, so about 1.5 gallons or so, and this controller here. In addition, it came with this muffler right here and air intake, which I installed right here in the wheel well. I'm not sure yet. There you go. In the wheel well. I just didn't know where to install it, so this is the location that I came up with. And most importantly, it came with a fuel pump, which is right here. So now that we know which components this came with, let me just show you guys how I installed this heater. The unit itself sits straight on the floor of the van. So this is the metal floor. Obviously I wanted to cut around all the vinyl and the plywood so it doesn't touch it. I don't know, I just got paranoid a little bit with maybe this thing overheating at one point, or causing some kind of fire, so I just wanted to cut around it. The way I did this is I cut a hole in here. I think this hole was about 4 inches by 4 inches, and then this plate that this heater sits on, this plate came with the heater, so I just screwed that in. And I caulked around it with some fire caulking. This is like the red fireproof caulking. Alright, so talking about the heater itself. Right now, as it sits, it's hooked up to my heater that came with the van. The heater that came with the van is in the back that does AC and heating. So I didn't know how to hook it up exactly, so I've decided to keep the old black ducting, which you can see back here. And this is it, and then hook up the new heater right to it. So with that being said, this right here is the intake. It comes straight off of this this black ducting here, goes through the heater, and then it discharges with this black hose. So how I hook this up to this piece is very simple. This hose right here, this is the hose that connects to the top here. This is a one-way valve, so you can see inside over here. When the air is blowing this way, meaning it's discharging through this top vent, and the regular heater, the one that came with the van, works, the air can come straight through here, and then I get hot air or cold air through here, and it's fine. Works perfectly. Now, when the diesel heater is on, it obviously discharges through this black hose, and this black hose is hooked up to here. However, because this is the air intake, I did not want this heater to pull air through this top ducting. That is the reason why I have this one-way valve. So when the heater is on and it tries to pull air through this top hose here, it basically gets blocked off with this one-way valve, so it is forced to pull air back through the original heater and through the vents that came with the van. So right over there. Okay, I'm not sure if that makes any sense. I'm gonna see if I can maybe put a drawing in there to kind of draw it out for you guys so you get a better idea of that, how that works. All right, so let me see if I can explain this to you guys how this works. Basically, this is the original air conditioner. So when you turn this on, this grill right here, this is your inlet. It sucks air in through this vent and then distributes it through these 3 vents here. And then this piece used to have a bigger attachment here with more vents down the line. So I removed all that and just kind of hooked up the diesel heater into this current setup because I wanted to keep this AC going. Basically, I didn't want to get rid of it. So when you turn on your diesel heater, basically what will happen is it will take cool air and pull it in through here. This is where the cool air comes in. Now, because this top run here is very small comparing to these other runs, it would just suck air in through this top one. I didn't want to do that because I wanted it to basically suck air in through the whole van, not just this one spot here in the cabin where it would get hot. So hence the reason why I put in this one-way valve in here to block the air from coming in when this heater is working. So instead of pulling it from here, it pulls the air from these 3 vents and back into here, and then through this vent back like that, boom, here, and then it goes into the heater. It gets heated up and then it comes out as hot air over here. And that's how it works without removing the original AC. Now moving on to the fuel. Here's the tank. Here's how that is installed. And it's basically screwed in with 2x4s back there and some other wood right through these holes. So the screws go right through into this back plate and into the 2x4 on top. This is tilted a little bit, angled. The reason why I wanted it to angle is so that it can flow all the way through this filter here, fuel filter, into the outside, into the pump, which we'll take a look in a minute of what that looks like. So to fill this tank, you basically take this little cover off and you have the access to the fill port right here. Okay, normally right next to it I would have my cabinet here. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. Maybe I'll throw in a photo. So you can see how this kind of sits up against the cabinet here. And finally on the inside we have the controller right here. This controller is just basically a very thin wire that was ran right through here, through the column, all the way down into this heater here. Normally when the van is put together, I'll tidy up the wires, you know, put some zip ties, that kind of stuff, just so nothing sits here. I don't know, I just don't trust it. I don't know if it's going to catch on fire one day or not. So yeah, so that's what that looks like. So speaking of fire, at one point this hose got disconnected, and in my previous build this piece sat directly on the floor. So when this hose got disconnected, it was basically sitting like so and blowing air down through this port, and this floor actually started to melt a little bit, so you can see how this is burnt here. That's because of this heater. Alright, when it comes to the outside, there's only 3 components that I need to worry about. One of them being this air intake right here, right over here. This needs to be mounted outside. This is your fresh air intake to the burner assembly of the diesel heater. Down here underneath we have a muffler. And we also have a fuel pump. So starting with the fuel pump, this right here comes straight through the van, and it's hooked up to that little filter up top. It comes out to here and then back into the heater through this port. Again, this is a plate that came with the heater. It's mounted right on top of the floor on the inside and then screwed in with screws and bolts. Then moving on, we have the muffler, which is right here. The way I mounted this is just regular bracket, screwed it into the insides over here, and that's about it. So it shakes a little bit, but it's fine. It doesn't cause any noises. Works perfect. Okay. And as far as the air intake goes, I wanted this air intake to be as far as possible from the exhaust. That's the reason why I put the air intake up here and the exhaust on the other side. All right, let's go back inside and maybe we'll turn it on. All right, let's turn it on and see how it works. This is the controller for it, and switch number 4 here for me turns it on. This is what it looks like when it's on. There is a very good instructional video by someone on YouTube who made a video on how to program this thing. It's a very, very good video. I use that to program this thing. However, the problem is that every time I leave the van, I try to shut all my accessories off. So I would just flip the switch here and this resets. So I found no point really to setting this up, just because every time I would leave, I would just shut it off and then it would lose memory. So with that being said, the way I use it is basically I just turn it on and let this thing run. All right, so right before we get to it, let's see what the temperature is. And I have my little thermometer here, meat thermometer, and we're at 67 degrees right now. So let's turn this thing on and see what we got. It normally takes a few minutes for this thing to kick on, so I will see you guys when it's fully running. One of the most common complaints with these things is that the fuel pump usually does the ticking noise as it's running. The ticking noise is it's pretty loud when it's nighttime. You can hear it ticking. However, when this thing is running and it's fully pumping, the ticks are very slow, so it's not like a constant tick. And normally we can deal with it just fine. No issues there. All right, so let's listen to the tick from a very close perspective. Now this is from the other side of the van. And from the inside. So here we go. Now we're speeding up a little bit. And the temperature keeps rising. Already at 88, 89, 90, and so on. And we're about, I believe it said 8 minutes in. Oh, nope, not even. 4 minutes in. And we're already blowing hot air at 90, 100, 101, 103. All right, keep going up. So let's come back when this thing reaches a few minutes. Just wanted to add that this indicator here is showing you how much heat it's producing. The higher this goes, the harder it's going. So right now we're like at 3, I want to say here, but it can go all the way up to 5 here. This is a red bar here that's going to come on. So we'll return. Oh, there you go. Just skipped one. So we'll return once this thing is fully going, and we'll see how hot it is. All right, so we're about 8 minutes in. This thing is in full swing right now. It's actually 6 bars, not 5 bars, so I do apologize. But right now we're running as much as we can. And so let's see what the temperature is coming out of this. There you go, 203 degrees. Yeah, so as you can see, this heater works very, very well. No issues whatsoever with heating up this entire space in here. I personally had this heater for 3 years now. I have no issues whatsoever with it since the day I installed it. Never had any problems with it. It works like a charm. Yeah, you know, if you take care of it and you install it properly, I think it'll work just fine. This is one of the cheaper ones too that I could find. I just didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on getting like one of those fancy ones. To shut it off, press and hold the button until it beeps, blinks off at you. And then what you have to do is you have to let it go through its cycle. As you can hear, it's starting to wind down. But you have to let it run until it fully stops. From my understanding, there is some residue that needs to continue to burn off after you shut it off. Overall, I'm very happy with this heater and how it works. This tank of fuel can last easily 4 to 5 days, no problem, of full blasting, basically several hours throughout the night. All right, so we're about 13 minutes in and it finally stopped. So that's how long it takes, guys. So about 8 minutes from 0 to full blast, and then when you shut it off, it takes about 5 minutes or so for it to cool down. Anything in between is what you want it to be. Alright, so that's about it for the Chinese diesel heater. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment down below and I'll try to respond.